I sat there, staring at her, waiting for her to realize the weight of what she had just said. Arms crossed, chin tilted up, she expected me to crumble under her ultimatum, obey or be denied intimacy. But that moment changed everything. This wasn't just a fight. It was a cycle of control, and I had played into it for too long. I laughed, genuinely amused. Her eyes widened, caught off guard. "Perfect," I said. "Keep it forever." Then I stood up, grabbed my phone, and walked away. No anger, no pleading, just quiet certainty. For the first time, I didn't try to fix things. I simply let them be. The next morning, she sat at the table, waiting for me to cave. "Are you done acting childish?" she asked. I sipped my coffee, then smiled. "Yeah, actually I am." That was the first crack in her confidence. She expected resistance. But I gave her indifference. I didn't argue, didn't engage. I stopped explaining myself and simply lived my life without her approval. I moved to the guest room, started hitting the gym, dressed better, reconnected with friends. I slept soundly for the first time in years. Each step forward was another piece of control she lost. At first, she acted indifferent, but I caught her watching when I came back from a workout, when I dressed up, when I walked out the door without explanation. Then came the panic. She tried to provoke me, bait me into old patterns. I gave her nothing. The silence became my power, and she knew it. I had nothing left to fight for, but for the first time in years, I had someone else to focus on. Myself. She acted indifferent at first, rolling her eyes when I left, making snide remarks about my gym routine, scoffing at my new clothes. But I saw it. The cracks forming in her confidence each time I didn't react. Then, the shift began. One night, as I walked past her, she accidentally brushed against me, something she hadn't done in weeks. A few nights later, she lingered, in my doorway, silent, waiting for an invitation that never came. She escalated. One morning, as I tied my shoes for the gym, she finally spoke. "You've been spending a lot of time away from home." I finished tying my laces, grabbed my bag, and met her gaze. "Yeah." She hesitated. "Doing what exactly?" I smirked. "Living." That hit her. She wasn't supposed to be the one wondering where I was going, who I was with. She was supposed to have the control. But now, she had nothing. So she tried to pull me back in. One night, she leaned beside me in the kitchen, fingers tapping idly, voice softer than before. "We don't have to keep this up. Things don't have to be like this." I stayed silent. She shifted closer. "I miss you." That was new. She reached out, trailing her fingers down my arm, the same woman who once weaponized intimacy now offering it for free. I let her touch linger for a second, then gently pulled away, grabbed my glass of water, and walked out. That was the moment she realized she had lost. She didn't give up easily. First, she lingered near me more, pretending to care. When that failed, she escalated again. "Going out again?" she asked one evening as I adjusted my sleeves. "Yeah." "With who?" I smirked. "Does it matter?" That hit her, too. She gripped the doorway, struggling for control. "You never used to go out this much." I turned to face her. "Yeah, I never used to do a lot of things." She was waiting for something, anything to reassure her that she still had a hold on me. But I had nothing left to give. Then came her last, desperate move. Guilt. One evening, she sat at the table, staring at her hands. "Can we talk?" she asked, voice small. I sighed, but sat down. "Go ahead." "I don't know what's happening between us." I arched a brow. "Really? I don't want to fight anymore." "This isn't a fight," I said calmly. "It's just reality catching up to you." Her eyes flickered with panic. "It doesn't have to be like this. We can fix things. I know I haven't been perfect, but..." Stop! She flinched, not because I was angry, but because I wasn't. You want the truth? I asked. She nodded, clinging to one last shred of hope. I don't want this anymore. Silence. Her lips parted, but no words came. I leaned forward. I don't hate you. I don't even care enough to be angry. But I see you for what you are now. And I'm done pretending this marriage was anything more than a cage I let myself live in. For too long. She swallowed hard. So that's it? You're just giving up? I shook my head. No. I'm finally choosing myself. I stood up, grabbed my phone, and made the call. I'd like to schedule a consultation for a divorce attorney. That's when she finally broke. She begged, pleaded, cycled between rage and desperation. But it was too late. Once the process started, she spiraled. Some days, she hurled accusations. Other days, she played the victim. Neither worked. I had nothing left for her. And for the first time, I felt no guilt. The old me would have second-guessed everything, tortured himself over whether this was the right choice. But now, I felt nothing but relief. I moved out before. The paperwork was finalized, packing my things in silence. She stood in the doorway, watching. This isn't fair, she whispered. You're just walking away like I meant nothing to you. I zipped my suitcase, turned to her, and met her gaze. No, I'm walking away because I finally realized I meant nothing to you. She opened her mouth, but I didn't wait for her response. I grabbed my bag and walked out, and I never looked back. Life after her? It was better than I could have imagined. I got my own place, quiet, peaceful, mine. I kept working out, kept dressing better, kept saying yes to new experiences. I met new people, went on dates, not out of spite, but because I could. Meanwhile, she unraveled. Word got back to me through mutual acquaintances. She was struggling, barely holding it together. She had spent so long controlling me, she never considered what would happen when I was gone. But I didn't care. Not because I wanted revenge, not because I wanted her to suffer, but because I was finally free. And that was all that ever mattered.